these companies like Klarna on the back end get paid 2 to 8% from the person that's selling the product. So for example, Apple.
So you see guys, they're charging you 2.8%, almost a little more extra on top when you finance these things. So you're actually paying a little bit more. Alright guys, so today we're going to be discussing the Klarna IPO and the potential investment opportunity when that IPO comes forward. So without further ado, I'm Justin Wayne. Thank you for tuning in to another video. Hopefully I can add some value or maybe some insight. So here's my 2 cents on the deal. First, we'll start by discussing what is an IPO. So what is an IPO? An IPO, and this is from Robinhood, guys. All this that I'm looking at right here is on Robinhood if you want to look at the information yourself. So an IPO is an initial public offering. IPO is a process that most private companies use to become public companies. Once a company is public, everyday investors can buy or sell its shares. At the end of this lesson, you'll start to understand why companies go public and explore your own decision-making process in determining if investing in IPOs fits into your personal strategy. You may also begin to recognize the potential pros and cons in investing in IPOs, because when a company IPOs, that means they're offering their shares to the public. Before most companies are private, before a company IPOs, they're considered private, meaning that as an average person, a retail investor, quote unquote, you can't necessarily invest in these companies because they're not offered to the public unless you have a substantial amount to invest, which is somewhere upward in the millions if you were lucky enough to be an angel investor, which that's a whole nother topic. So next, private companies versus public companies. I think I just explained this a little bit. The big difference between a private and public company is who owns them. A private company is usually owned by a small group of people. Think of a family-owned ice cream shop or a local bookstore. These are often private companies. On the other hand, a public company can be owned by members of the general public like you. Public companies typically employ more people and serve more customers. Think of your favorite fast food chain or car brand. As an investor, you could own a piece of them, right? So bigger companies like public companies such as Apple, Ford Motor Company, Tesla, large companies that service a large amount of the public. Most of the companies that if you think or if it's known to be a larger brand, most of the time it is a public company. Most smaller companies like mom and pop shops, things that are typically family owned or oriented, tend to be private companies. So there is a difference, guys. All right. So why would a company want to go public? What's the reason why a company chooses, hey, let's take our situation here from being private, just us, and let's let the public in on the business, right? Let's allow the public to put money in our company and to kind of, invest in some of our success as well as profit off of it. So why would a company want to go public? Okay. There are lots of reasons, but in short, to raise money during an IPO, a company sells a portion of its ownership. In exchange, it receives money from investors. So during the initial IPO, a group of people, they sit down, they decide how many shares of the company they want to sell off, and then they decide a good price, right? They decide a good price that the market will be willing to pay whenever the company decides to go public. So after the IPO, the company can use those funds to pursue its goals. For example, a company might want to expand its business, pay off debt, or explore new initiatives. Why invest in a company that's going public? Because you believe in the company and think that it will be successful. It's also possible to lose money. right? So it's also possible to lose money. Whenever you own shares in a company, you think, or my bad, whenever you own shares in a company, you're a shareholder or a part owner of that business. That means you can potentially benefit from or share in their success. You also may have the chance to vote on certain company decisions. Do investors always profit from IPOs? No, they don't. Now listen close, everyone. Listen close. I'll try to read this best way I can. No, they don't. Investors might make money, but there's no guarantee they will. There's a long history of IPOs being successful or disastrous, right? They're hard to predict. There's no guarantee that you'll end up with a profit if you invest in a recently listed company. Keep in mind, often a company's shares price will be quite volatile after the IPO, right? So, in short, guys, when a company IPOs, they IPO for a certain price. So the price that they tend to go public with is a price that they think is fair or they came up with. But oftentimes, guys, that's not the true price. Oftentimes, when a company IPOs and comes out for the first time, they tank. They tank something horrible. So this is an example of a company that IPOs, right? This flat line right here, they weren't in business. Boom, this is where they IPO'd. So they IPO'd around $8.72, right? So this is what they mean by volatility. As soon as this company IPO'd at $8.72, what it do? It took a tank. It fell $2, $6.50. April 29th. So from, what's this? April 14th, April 29th, fell 650. It lost, what, 25%. Boom, went up 13.47, right? It met a high, and then what it do? Shot down even more, 479. So I show you this, guys, to say, look at this. It went all the way down to $2. And then it just kind of set around this range. Roller coaster, wow, extreme bottoms. So if you would have got in at $8, you would have been sweating. If you would have got in at $13, if you would have bought at the high, you would have lost your mind. So when a company IPOs, it's going to be extremely volatile. So you always want to be careful when a company IPOs. You want to make sure that you know what you're going to get into. Do a tremendous amount of research when going into any of these investments. And remember, guys, you always want to hold for the long term. So anything I promote on the channel, anything that I show you guys, I always have a mind that if I choose to invest in this opportunity, that it's going to be a long-term play. All right. So as you can see, extreme volatility when it IPOs. Let me move myself over here. But if you would have stuck around for SoundHound, you would have eventually it went up to $23.95. A long haul, right? Long term. It had a couple spikes and went back to $8. Went way up here and then it fell. Where's it sitting? I can't get it for some reason. Around $10 right now. $10 a share. So always do your research, guys. These companies are very volatile when they IPO. The companies are just coming out, so do your research. So the real reason we're here is for the Klarna IPO. So Klarna, if you don't know, guys, they participate in buy now, pay later, financing type style payments. So Klarna allows you to buy certain apparel, any kind of things, anywhere between the range of maybe $20 to maybe a couple $1,000s. So you can split it in payments. And what makes this company land on my radar is that it's very popular and increasingly growing in popularity. The way we are as an economy, guys, we run up debt. We live on debt. We thrive on it. So companies like this are very sexy to the average consumer. When you want your product now and you can get the validation of having the product up front and stretching out that payment over a few months, people like that. So they're going to be more inclined to spend money that they don't have. In turn, that's going to make this company extremely profitable. So I feel like Patrick B. Davis, explains it a little better. So this is Valuetainment. I'm going to let him take it away, and then I'll add my 2 cents.
You heard about this new thing? It's called buy now, pay later. Guess who's using it? Affirm, Klarna, Apple, PayPal, and they're making so much money. It's so attractive to the consumer because the consumer says, "Babe, this thing here is $1,000. I can't pay $1,000 right now." But guess what? This buy now, pay later allows me to pay only 25% right now, which is $250, and I get to pay the other in 3 payments: $250, $250, $250. Oh.
So in that short clip, check this out. It's becoming more popular. People are spending money that they don't have. As Americans, we spend money that we don't have. We're on a debt economy. Back then, when you finance something, it was something of worth. A car, a house, health. If you had to go to the hospital and you got hospital bills, you finance something of worth. The only time you finance something as minuscule as clothes, electronics, food even, is when you were putting things on layaway around the holidays. And even that, you didn't get the product until you paid it off. Now with companies like Klarna, Afterpay, Affirm, you get the product up front without having the responsibility of paying it off in full. Pretty soon, a lot of people stack up some of these payments. You use multiple different apps. And next thing you know, they're taking big chunks out of your check every week, every couple of weeks. You think this would deter people from using them and wanting to shop, but it actually gets them more motivated to shop because companies like this will increase their credit limits. So this is a little more why the Klarna IPO is going to be so big, because it's a tremendous investment opportunity for those who are willing to maybe cash in.
For the next 6 weeks, and I own it, and in many cases this is 0%. How cool is this? Then how do they make their money? Well, these companies like Klarna on the back end get paid 2 to 8% from the person that's selling the product. So for example, Apple would send Klarna, if this is $1,000 product, they will give you $20 to $80. So that's how they're making their money. Couple different ways, but God forbid.
So you see, guys, they're charging you 2.8%, almost a little more extra on top when you finance these things. So you're actually paying a little bit more. The better thing is the companies that they're doing the products through, the merchants, where they're expanding to many more merchants, right? Sometimes you can even finance food, which is crazy. If you are financing a $10 Chipotle purchase, you need help. Okay, I'm just gonna say it. Okay, but for those of us who are invested in the market, this is where our potential profit comes to play. So Klarna plans to IPO. That means they're gonna have an initial public offering around April. So look for it in April. Please do your research into the company. Take a look at their financials. Take a look at the products that they have to offer, other than these financing, products. See how many merchants they're working with, and I heard they're going to start exploring new merchants even overseas. So they're going to be broadening their horizon, especially for income potential. They're going to be spreading to more merchants. You're going to be able to buy more and pay it later, more and more and more. So remember, guys, Klarna, exciting IPOs coming in April. Have it on your radar. I'm going to try to do more research, and I'll upload more on the channel. But for right now, guys, what's going on with my connection? Klarna is where it's at. Here, we'll play a little more.
You make a miss a payment, it goes to 30%. And by the way, more than 4 in 10 Americans who have taken out one of these buy now, pay later loans have made a payment late on one of those loans, according to a new survey from LendingTree, which is why 23% of BNPL customers have regretted financing a purchase this way. So why are people using it? I don't know, babe. It's a hot phenomenon. They're making a lot of money. Let alone on top of this, credit card companies today just increased their rates. It's the highest it's ever been, 3.5.
So, to that point, credit card companies are increasing their rates. Companies like Afterpay, Klarna, PayPal, all these services that offer the buy now, pay later are looking a little more sexy to the retail consumer. Reason being, we're already maxing out the credit cards. They have nowhere else to go but these apps. People would rather find other sources of income than lower their spending and spend less than what they're making, right? So guys, I'm not saying that this is the most ethical investment opportunity, but it's an investment opportunity nonetheless. Now, I hope this video was somewhat helpful. I hope you got some value out of it. I will be trying to do a little more research on Klarna leading up to the IPO. But guys, take this, take this little video, take this little advice as a warning to do your research, right? Potentially prepare for the IPO depending on what price they IPO at. I will be watching. Other than that, thank you guys. Make sure you drop a like or a comment and subscribe. Thank you. Until next time.